Mommy is going to make you girls chocolate chip cookies! Yay! Are you excited? Hello everyone, my name is Alyssa and this is my channel, The Cymbal Life. I'm so happy you are all here joining me today. This is actually my first video I'm ever recording, so I'm really excited for this new venture. I think it'll be really good for me and just be a really fun space to be creative and share something that I love so much with all of you, which is cooking and baking. So as you saw when I told my girls what we would be making today, we are doing XXL chocolate chip cookies that are so yummy. I can't wait to make them with you. I know you're gonna love them. So I hope you follow along. I hope you follow along every week. That is my goal, to get one video up a week, varying from cooking to baking. And I want this to be interactive. So make sure you follow me on Instagram. Every week I will do a poll to see what the majority of you would rather, see me make. So yeah, follow along and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is, I always use my stand mixer. So I'm going to use this and we're going to mix together the butter, the brown sugar, and the white sugar. So just make sure your butter is soft before doing this. It just makes it mix a little bit easier. So I'm going to add that. Add my brown sugar, my 1/4 cup of white sugar, and get that mixing. All right, so while that's mixing, I have all of my other ingredients ready to go. I have my flour, which I'm going to mix in the baking powder and the salt. And just mix that up and set it aside so it's ready to go. You'll be using this and incorporating it once the sugars, butter, egg, and vanilla are all combined. Okay, so the sugar and butter is done mixing. I'm just going to put that on low. And at this point, I'm mixing in my 1 teaspoon of vanilla. I usually just eyeball it. And then cracking my 1 egg. Okay, I'm gonna let that mix up. So if you've been following me on Instagram or you know me, you know that I love cooking. That's my jam. I love it. I've been cooking for years. But baking has not always gone super smooth for me. Tried lots of recipes before. You could ask my husband how many batches of super flat cookies I've made. But I guess being home in quarantine gives you a lot of extra time. So I thought it would be fun to try my hand in baking again. And honestly, I've loved it. It's been so much fun to experiment and try new recipes. So it's been really good. Okay, so this is pretty much all mixed up. Now at this point, you are going to add your flour, baking powder, and salt mixture slowly. So you want that to incorporate in. Just be careful when you're pouring it in that it doesn't, explode in your face. So you want to do it gradually. So at this point, everything is mixed together really well and you actually don't need your mixer anymore. So I am just going to pop this off. Now as you can see, it does look a little bit dry and crumbly. That is okay. That's what you want it to look like. They obviously don't come out dry. They taste really good, but that's normal just in case you're questioning it. So I'm going to mix in the chocolate chips by hand. Okay, so my dough is all mixed up with the chocolate chips. The key is you don't want to overwork the dough. You want to keep it nice and light and airy, so that is good. This is what it looks like once it's all mixed together. And at this point, I am going to cover this with foil and put it in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. Okay, so right now the dough is in the refrigerator chilling a little bit. I have my baking sheet lined with parchment paper all ready to go. I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but these are like XXL chocolate chip cookies. So the recipe makes about 8. You obviously can make them smaller, that way you get more out of one batch, but we like making big cookies in this house. It's fun to see them come out, and they're so good. So that's gonna finish chilling, and we'll be ready to go. I'll show you about the size that I make them, how I shape them, and then we'll get them in the oven. So my batter is nice and chilled. I pulled that out of the fridge. At this point, you want to go ahead and preheat your oven to 375. So I have my baking pan lined with parchment paper, and I'm going to show you how I shape the cookie balls and about how big I make them. Okay. So, like I said, this makes about 8 cookies. We like to make them big, but if you don't want them, to be humongous, you can obviously make them normal size. But you can see, you don't want to squeeze and overwork them too much, but you definitely want them to be pretty formed. And then I almost just like pat them down to make like a puck shape, just like that. Now, funny story, the first time I ever made these, I didn't pack them enough because the recipe says to just lightly pack them, and they literally completely fell apart when I baked them. They still tasted really good, but they were not pretty. So I have since perfected the recipe. I made these a little bit bigger today. It made about 6. But like I said, any size you want them, you can really make them. They'll still come out really good. So I'll move this over here, and we're gonna get ready to pop them in the oven. Like I said, 375, about 16 to 18 minutes. You want them to be just light brown on top, and then when you pull them out, you're gonna let them set for a little bit. So let's get these in the oven. Okay, the cookies are done and they are cooling. I just had to run up to grab Madison from her nap really quick. Are you excited to eat the cookies?
Yeah.
Yes. All right, let's show everybody what they look like. They look so good. Our extra large chocolate chip cookies. You gonna take a bite?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, thank you guys for following along and joining today. Be sure to follow me on Instagram. I will tag my handle at the bottom of the screen. That way we could keep this interactive and you can vote on what we make next week. So hope you have a great day. Bye. Say bye.
Bye.